Ankita Robin and welcome to ST Global News. From the celebration of the feast of Our Lady of Lourdes to the Zimbabwean Church's anticipation that John Bradburn will soon be officially canonized by the Catholic Church, we have many stories to cover. Thousands of pilgrims arrived in Lourdes, France to celebrate the feast of Our Lady of Lourdes on Tuesday. The celebrations began on Monday night with Marian processions. On the feast day, an international Holy Mass was held, followed by rosary prayers in various languages throughout the day, making the celebration accessible to all pilgrims. Thousands of pilgrims from around the world participated in the feast day celebration of Our Lady of Lourdes on February 11th. The state marks the first apparition of the Blessed Virgin Mary to Bernadette Soubirous in 1858. In 1992, Pope St. John Paul II declared February 11th as the World Day of the Sick. Each year, Marian devotees travel to the sanctuary of Lourdes, a site blessed by the apparition, seeking both physical and spiritual healing at its miraculous fountain. The celebrations began on the evening of February 10th with a Marian procession. At 9 p.m., thousands of faithful accompanied the statue of Our Lady of the Immaculate Conception, carrying lit candles while singing Marian hymns and offering prayers. On February 11th, the feast of Our Lady of Lourdes, devotees joined the chaplains at the Basilica of the Rosary for Lauds, followed by an international Holy Mass at 10 a.m. Throughout the day, rosaries were prayed in multiple languages including Ukrainian, Arabic, Polish, English and Portuguese at the grotto where the Virgin Mary appeared to Bernadette. The celebrations concluded with adoration at the grotto at 5 p.m. followed by a torchlit procession at 9 p.m. Due to extreme weather conditions, the number of sick pilgrims visiting the grotto was lower than usual. However, organizers remain hopeful that attendance will increase in the spring, as is typically the case. King Charles III and Queen Camilla will visit the Vatican in April 2025, Buckingham Palace announced in a press release on Friday. While the itinerary has not yet been finalized, Their Majesties will meet with Pope Francis, marking their first official visit to the Vatican since the King's coronation. King Charles III and Queen Camilla will visit Pope Francis in April 2025, Buckingham Palace announced in a press release published on February 7th. The statement confirmed that the King and Queen will join the Pope in celebrating the 2025 Jubilee year. Traditionally held once every 25 years, the Jubilee is a significant event for the Catholic Church, described as a year of walking together as pilgrims of hope. King Charles III is the Supreme Governor of the Church of England, a position held by the British monarch as the titular head of the Church. This role was established following King Henry VIII's break with the Holy See in 1536, when he seized the assets of the Catholic Church in England and Wales and declared the Church of England the established church, with himself as the supreme head. Over the centuries, the relationship between the Catholic Church and the Anglican Church has evolved significantly, marked by ongoing dialogue and a shared commitment to unity. In 1982, Pope St. John Paul II and the Archbishop of Canterbury issued a joint declaration emphasizing the need for a new international commission to address outstanding doctrinal differences and explore practical steps toward full communion. For the Great Jubilee of the year 2000, Queen Elizabeth II visited the Vatican and had a private audience with Pope St. John Paul II. Given this history, the upcoming visit of King Charles III during the 2025 Jubilee year holds considerable symbolic significance. According to Buckingham Palace, Their Majesty's state visit to the Republic of Italy will also include engagements in Rome and Ravenna, with further details to be announced in due course. The feast of St. Teresa of Calcutta now has a permanent place in the general Roman calendar. From now on, September 5th will be celebrated as an optional liturgical memorial by the global church. The Dicastery for Divine Worship and the Discipline of the Sacraments has also issued the feast day's liturgical text for the Liturgy of the Hours and the celebration of Mass in Latin. Pope Francis has added the feast day of St. Teresa of Calcutta to the general Roman calendar to be celebrated by the Universal Church on September 5th every year. The Dicastery for Divine Worship and the Discipline of the Sacraments released the decree and the accompanying liturgical text on Tuesday, February 11th. Mother Teresa's feast day will now be celebrated as an optional liturgical memorial annually on September 5th, the date of her death in 1997. Cardinal Arthur Roche, prefect of the Dicastery for Divine Worship and the Discipline of the Sacrament, said that Pope Francis requested her insertion in the Roman calendar in response to the requests of bishops, religious, and the lay faithful. Previously, the feast day of Saint Teresa of Calcutta was inscribed only in the proper calendar of the Missionaries of Charity and the proper calendar of India. The liturgical texts released in Latin will guide the faithful in praying the liturgy of the hours and the celebration of Mass. Cardinal Roche said that collect prayer focuses on the presence of the cross of Christ in the needs of the poor. The Gospel reading for her feast is from the 25th chapter of St. Matthew, which lists the works of mercy. Mother Teresa founded the Missionaries of Charity in 1950 to serve those most in need. The congregation now has over 6,000 sisters in 130 countries around the world. Pope St. John Paul II beatified her in 2003. Pope Francis canonized her on September 4, 2016 during the Extraordinary Jubilee of Mercy. War has torn Ukraine apart. However, groups like the Catholic Media Center are working to provide spiritual guidance and aim to alleviate the suffering of those who have lost their loved ones.
Since the beginning of the Ukraine-Russia war, the Catholic Media Center has been reporting on church activities in Ukraine and providing spiritual guidance to the people experiencing the tragedy of war. Sister Alina Petrovskaite, director of the center's portal, explains that their initiatives aim to elevate the suffering of mothers and wives who had lost their loved ones in front and to assist those seeking to return to church. Sister Alina belongs to the congregation of the Little Sisters of Immaculate Heart of Mary. She has been connected with the Catholic Media Center since 2014 and has been managing the web portal and social media for the Roman Catholic Church in Ukraine for the past 5 years. She stated that the Catholic Media Center aims to amplify the voice of the bishops of the church, evangelize and reach those in need. In addition to Sister Alina, 2 collaborators assist with the portal's information service. The portal operates 7 days a week, publishing 9 news items throughout the day, including on social media. Subscribers can receive daily articles through social media platforms. The web portal also provides support to the wounded and shares information about meetings for mothers and widows of the soldiers who died at the front. Additionally, they conduct interviews with participants in these meetings to share their testimonies. These encounters help people cope with their grief by offering the support of a compassionate community. Sister Alina explains that this is one of the ways they assist those who have experienced profound loss. The portal's most important mission is evangelization. In 2024, it provided extensive coverage of events in Ukrainian church during the year of Saint Michael, the Archangel, the patron saint of the church, as well as of Kiev and Ukraine. Additionally, the portal publishes a liturgical calendar, including texts and information on the saint of the day.
With violence against churches, priests and pastors on the rise, another pastor in Nigeria has been shot to death by suspected militants from the extremist Islamic group Boko Haram. Reverend Bala Galadima of the Evangelical Church Winning All was shot dead around 1 a.m. at his residence.
On Sunday, February 10th, suspected militants from the extremist Islamic group Boko Haram killed a pastor in Gombe State, Nigeria. According to the sources, Reverend Bala Galadima of the Evangelical Church Winning All was shot dead around 1 a.m. at his house. Members of the local Evangelical Church Winning All congregation reported that assailants dressed in black robes broke into the pastor's residence on church premises and shot him at point blank in the back while he was in bed. Before reaching his home, the militants reportedly entered the town, firing into the air to deter interference. Mistakenly arriving at another house, they demanded money at gunpoint while asking for the directions to the pastor's residence before proceeding to the church property. Church member Lami Sabo conveyed deep sorrow over the pastor's death. Sabo described Reverend Bala Galadima as a courageous and generous leader whose guidance, teachings and support would be deeply missed by the church community. In response to the incident, Buhari Abdullahi of Gombe State Police Command issued a statement confirming that Gombe State Commissioner of Police Bello Yahaya has visited the hospital where the pastor's body was taken. A special squad of police personnel has also been deployed in the area, and authorities have launched a coordinated operation expressing confidence that the perpetrators would be apprehended.
An 86-year-old man who was believed to be in the captivity of Hamas militants has now been pronounced dead by the Israeli Defense Forces. Sholom Mansour, a veteran farmer and community leader, was confirmed to have been killed during the onslaught on Kibbutz Kisulim in the early hours of October 7, 2023.
An 86-year-old man who was thought to be the oldest among the hostages held by Hamas was officially declared dead by Israeli authorities on Tuesday. The Israeli Defense Forces now believe Mansour, a veteran farmer, was killed during the onslaught in Kibbutz Kisufim, and his body was transported to the Gaza Strip by Hamas militants. Mansour's death was officially confirmed by a panel of health experts who corroborated the intelligence gathered by the Israeli Defense Forces. In an interview with the New York Post, Mansour's sister Hadassah Lazar remembered her brother as a loving man who stood for his nation and the community during the most difficult times. Lazar also said that family had not lost hope that Mansour would one day return and that it was hard to accept that he had already been dead for so long. Mansour, who belonged to the Baghdadi Jewish family, returned to Israel after surviving the 1941 Farhud pogrom, where Muslim fanatics annihilated the entire Jewish population in Iraq. Mansour's family since then has been involved in various agricultural activities and is credited with the success of converting the kibbutz region from an arid land to a thriving farming community. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, via on a post on X, expressed his condolences and remembered Mansour as a builder of the country.
Is Zimbabwe about to get its first ever saint? And will that be an Englishman, John Bradburn, who dedicated his life to serving a leper colony in Mutamwa, improving their living conditions and showing them they were loved?
Zimbabwean Bishop Raymond Mupanda Sweka of Masivinu anticipates that John Bradburn will soon be officially canonized by the Catholic Church. However, he firmly believes that Bradburn is already a saint in the eyes of God. Born in England, John Bradburn was the son of an Anglican vicar. As a young man, he felt a deep spiritual calling and eventually converted to Catholicism. His journey of faith led him to what is now Zimbabwe, where he initially lived with Jesuits. A chance to visit to the leper colony of Mutamwa changed his life, and he dedicated himself to serving its residents, vastly improving their living conditions, affirming their dignity, and showing them that they were loved. In September 1979, Bradburn was kidnapped by a group of young Mujibas, locals who assisted guerrillas. They marched him to their hideout and later presented him to the guerrillas, expecting praise for capturing a white man. Instead, they were rebuked as Bradburn was known to be a friend of the African people. Embarrassed, the Mujibas promised to return him to Mutamwa, but instead handed him to another rebel group, which put him on a trial. Though he was declared not guilty of any crime, his captors feared that he had seen their hideouts and might reveal them to Rhodesian security forces. They offered to transfer him to Mozambique, but he refused, saying that he would go nowhere but back to the leper colony, where he was needed. That night, the rebels released him from his bonds, ate and drank with him, then shot him dead. In recent years, rumors have circulated that his beatification process might be delayed due to political sensitivities. Some believe that it would be controversial for Zimbabwe's first saint to be a white man in a country where race remains a sensitive issue. Nevertheless, devotion to Bradburn has only grown. Many attribute miracles to his intercession, and Bishop Mupanda Sweka himself claimed to have witnessed a miraculous event at his shrine in 1994. Today, at least 100,000 people visit his shrine each year, making pilgrimages from January to December.
That's all for today. Until we meet again, God bless and thank you.